The crux of my work is really to respond to situations that are presented to me. So I'm not the kind of person that sits in a studio and work then hoping to find a context that work fits into, because for me the audience and the context is such a huge part of what I'm going to do. The work becomes much more complete once you've got basically your assignment. I insist on engaging the viewer fully.
Right.
I'm not a real subtle artist. I'm not looking to be liked. I'm not looking for acceptance. I'm looking for good, pithy dialogue, and I'll throw some ideas at you. I sort of think about myself as sort of postulating around some nugget that is or isn't the truth. Like, well, what if this? Well, what if this? And your mind is turned on when you say that. You're trying to find an answer. So if you're trying to find an answer, I'm doing my job. I'm not answering questions for you. I'm engaging your mind in a process. I got used a long time ago to people discounting me very, very easily. Mm-hmm. Oh, gee, that's just a pile of wood. Mm-hmm. Fine, that's as far as you want to go with it. That's fine. That's your prerogative. So I got used a long time ago to being a love it or hate it kind of stance. These things, once they get in the gallery, this pile of rocks, once it gets in the gallery and it gets lit, it should be taken pretty seriously, But then I play with high and low materials as well. I'm painting on cheesy paneling, and I've got driftwood and candles that are melting and stuff that I've picked up at estate sales and yard sales that I've all added together to hopefully mean more than the sum of its parts. Kind of an explosion out into, now into millennia. Mm-hmm. You're working with materials like, wood and glass, rocks these are from, if they're geodes, they're from the Mississippian period, which is part of the. But if you look at a pile of something, that's really the essence. That's the beginning of a collection. When I'm in a particular space, I'm always responding to and riffing off the space. 8 by 8 foot wall painting of something that I appropriated off the side of a plumber's truck. Mm-hmm. Well, then they appropriated the idea from somebody else, and I photographed it, and through some processes in Photoshop and other things, turned it into a print that's now a Iris G. Clay type print, photo print. It's called Get Her Done. Firing up the camera, and I just leaned forward and shot through my windshield of the car. So then I Photoshop and kind of stretched it back to the shape it belonged in, and kind of hit a few buttons, pushed a few distorts, and got it kind of back to what it was supposed to look like. As I'm on these hunts, I would always have a camera with me, and I'm just ruthless. I just pull my camera out and take photos of what I want to take it of. Circumstances of a sale cause these unlikely still lifes to be assembled just momentarily. Fantasy life, ponies, and little elf houses. I think it's just a beautiful photograph. You notice they're without people. They're without an external life. They're sort of an internal. Do you think I'm an obsessive collector? It's really breaking the rules of formal. It's called Certain Things, the hard to follow mix. So I've taken a lot of stills, some of the photography that you saw, and turned it into an animated slideshow with some original music. It's video of still photos of objects assembled so you can get more than one object and put on a podium. But it's hard to follow because, as you see, you've got to walk in a circle in order to watch it or wait for it to come around again.
Does he also interact with it?
Come on, Billy. It's not spinning either. Technical difficulties. Technology. It's there for you. We try to get it to turn into this mad, overwrought piece of insanity, just more drips than God could create. Mm. We'll probably just burn a candle occasionally, unless you really push most candles, unless they're pure wax. They all went with the dripless candles eventually. So you could have it going as sort of a little in memoriam, a little living sculpture with a little fire in it.
So then you don't really feel like the piece will ever necessarily be finished. It can continue to grow and change.
I've sold a piece like this, and the person was very intrigued. They wanted, it was sold with the notion that it was now yours, and you buy the candles, right? You buy the candles and you do what you want to do with it. I view them as living pieces. This is a pedestal. This will have a crock pot on it that'll be filled with cognac and star anise as my current plan. So it's once again the high and the low. It's something from the basement and then something from the top shelf of the liquor cabinet as well, including another sense. I've made work you can sit on. Now I want to make work you can smell. The only ottoman you missed in that last one was a stump. I said, well, then you got to come to this show and you'll see that.
See the stump of this show.
Yeah, we're going to cover them all. As found in a basement. You know, there's a very frugal man that thought this up. I got some pulleys. I got some paint cans. What do I need to pay the YMCA for? It's not done till I get to the gallery even though I can do all this preparation and I'm going to start moving stuff down there tomorrow. What goes with what? What's the full commentary? What's the richest commentary? You don't really know until it's all exactly there and talking to each other and talking to you. So I spent a lot of time out here doing the dirty work as well. At the Contemporary, it was one of the 2 televisions.
Seeing that in there, yeah.
It was playing video in the living room thing.
Right. Oh, that whole, yeah.
I've done a few improv classes. I've just been acting. This is not really Kim Humphries that you're talking to. As far as installation work, I'm a fabricator, an object maker, a photographer, a videographer. I'm whatever I need to be for that particular process. In art school, I worked on figure drawing. When I look back at the skeletal studies that I did, I look at them and I think, did I do that? I was fast a little drawer at one point, but you work your way through how to learn how to think and talk and communicate through these methods and means. And you know, art installation work per project, conceptual work is not for everybody. It's just the way that I've chosen to it's the conduit that I've chosen. And like I said, as you see, I combine a cross set of skills. I'm a sculptor. I paint when necessary, but if I'm painting is part of the commentary. I'm making a traditional painting on linen, therefore I'm making an important object so the contents are commemorated to the annals of history. It's driven by the core idea. How it ought to be resolved is decided in your mind. You know, what the best form or the direction that this is going to take, and then you proceed from there.
It's just another vehicle, but it's really the same communication
right.
You're trying to have with the viewer and the public.
You've decided what you want to say. I'm comfortable with these ways of saying it, so the next thing I know, I find myself out gathering the 6 or 7 things that I'm gathering and thinking about at the moment that I think will help me further the commentary, but I end up having to form them. I end up having to computer skills, photo skills, fabrication, raw fabrication skills. I spend time on the table saw and with the jigsaw and with the sanders just like anybody else. I learned how to faux paint as well. You saw some of that cartoony graining that I learned how to do. You know, I did it overwrought for a purpose. I mean, it's sort of an art historical reference in itself and a high-low cultural Martha Stewart, do-it-yourself kind of mentality as well. So a lot of this stuff does resemble, you know, home art, do-it-yourself handyman art, the kind of collections that every man might have. You know, it picks up driftwood and beach glass and that sort of thing. So I want to run those different layers and those kind of commentaries through it as well. And I really don't. For this particular exhibit, I wanted to build things with my own hands. I'd be perfectly happy farming it out, but that wouldn't. I don't think that'd be as meaningful. I wanted to build it as well. So those pedestals that you see are even as amateurish as some of the carpentry, and it is. You know, I really think it was important that it be by my hand, so that I'm sort of playing that role of the amateur collector in all of this as well. This is how I'm going to display my goods.
Yeah.
And then very breathable commentary. I want to engage people in a dialogue about how do we define ourselves, how do museums define us, how do galleries work. You know, there's all these sort of layers of sort of boiling and roiling meaning that I don't really want to tell you what I think or even answer questions. What I want to do is evoke some dialogue. Somebody turns their head and they go, "What the?" Now we've started.